Welcome to Global Tax Talks Tax in 60 Seconds. I'm Will Morris, and here are some things to watch out for in the coming week. First, expect to hear more after the EU Heads of Government meeting, where there were apparently some very tough discussions about the need for corporate tax harmonization. The Heads of Government were talking about the European Capital Markets Union, but calls for harmonization and/or the end of unanimity do tend to get attached to whichever train appears to be leaving the station. It was apparently opposed by 9 member states at the meeting, including Sweden, Ireland, and Poland. Original proposed language for the meeting called for harmonization of corporate tax law, but in the end, even compromise language was rejected and there was no reference to tax at all in the final document. Nevertheless, this drumbeat on harmonization/unanimity does seem to be increasing. Australia is the latest country to announce green tax incentives in its Future Made in Australia plan. The government said this is in response to the US Inflation Reduction Act, and will provide loans and incentives to assist the transition to green manufacturing, likely including tax breaks, perhaps investment allowances or deductions, as well as tax credits. The Australian Treasurer said, open quotes, "We are prepared to consider the tax system as one of a whole range of levers that might be useful. Until we see more details, we won't know which parts of this might get caught by Pillar 2, not to mention the Foreign Subsidies Regulation. But again, we see this dynamic where Pillar 2 could clash with the desire of countries to maintain or increase their attractiveness. What might happen then?" And finally, from India, a story which supports my view that BEPS 1.0 will likely be much more impactful than advertised by those who are anxious to move on to BEPS 2.0. It was recently announced that the India Mauritius Tax Treaty, a favoured investment route into the country, has been amended to include the principal purpose test. The PPT allows the denial of treaty benefits if one of the principal purposes of entering into a transaction was to obtain treaty benefits. For India, this is the culmination of a multi-year effort to chip away at the ability of outside investors to avoid Indian tax on the sale of Indian businesses. And there are some interesting questions about whether it will be retroactive or prospective, as well as the effects on some 2017 grandfathering. But make no mistake, the PPT is set to have a huge effect in coming years. Now, as of yet, there haven't been many court cases, but there will be a lot. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and come back next week so that you stay global tax ready.